Hello, my name is Alejandro Hitti, and today I want to give a talk that I gave 2 weeks ago in my old university. So basically, I got invited to just talk a little bit about how to get your game noticed and how to do some marketing for your indie game. I gave this talk in Spanish, but I decided to translate it and just give it again in English and record myself while doing so because I think that the material is pretty interesting for everyone and it would be nice to share. So I'm going to start by who am I? So as I said, I'm Alejandro Hitti. I started studying computer science in 2008 in Universidad Simon Bolivar in Venezuela. After that, I decided to go study to the Japan Institute of Technology because it's a game-specific school, so it just better fit my needs. Um, in 2013, I started working with some friends in a project called Frog Sword, which actually got a lot of attention, and that was like basically um, my first commercial product that I was working on. Then I started working on Super 3 in 2014, and we decided that we wanted some extra funding, so we went with a Kickstarter campaign, and we also had a Greenlight campaign at that time. In November 2014, we actually got greenlit, which was really exciting at the time, but because we didn't get funded in the Kickstarter campaign, our artists moved on to another project, and then we just couldn't working on it. Currently, I'm working on Ink. Basically, this was a lot on their 32 game that Zach Bell started doing. But since then, he asked me to help him do the trailer and put it on Greenlight. And I did that, and now we're working on an expanded version of the game, and we're going to release on Steam later this summer, 2015. And I'm also working on another project that hasn't been announced yet, but I will let you know later. During my school years, I've also worked on several other projects. So why should you listen to me? So even though we didn't get the Kickstarter money that we wanted, we actually managed to get $10,000 from 450 strangers, which was pretty amazing to me at the time. We made a bunch of mistakes, but I believe that we learned a lot from it. And I also got two games greenlit on Steam. I'm actually pretty excited about both of these. The first one actually got greenlit in like 3 months, and the second one took about 20 days to get greenlit. Also, my games have been covered in very recognizable press outlets such as PC Gamer, Polygon, Destructoid, IndieGames.com, Rock Paper Shotgun, and the now like defunct In the Static. And also, I've been in communication with some of the industry's biggest companies, such as like Microsoft with their ID at Xbox program, which we're part of. Yo-Yo Games, which are the guys that make Game Maker, and that's the engine that we use for our games. Steam, since we're actually trying to get into because we got greenlit, we're working on getting our Steamworks account. And then Humble Bundle contacted us for distribution for Ink, but we're actually gonna take up on the offer when we have the finalized version of the game. So let's start talking about marketing. So I actually made this triangle that I came up with, which is like the three things that any product like needs to be successful to have good marketing. So the first one is to have like a quality product. The second one is to put in the effort to actually like go out and try to get coverage for the project. And then the third one is luck. So if you have quality and luck, it's actually the least viable case and it rarely works. Um, if you have a good product but you didn't do any like marketing or you didn't try to advertise it at all, it will rarely get the attention that it needs. So try not to rely on this one. Um, if you actually have like a not as good product, but you do put in the effort and then you're very lucky, you might actually get something out of it. But obviously the best one will be this one because you want to have a quality product and then also work a lot to get it noticed. Then again, if you have all three, you have a trifecta, which is probably what everyone's looking for. So there's several avenues to promote your game. The most obvious one would be the press, which is like websites, podcasts, blogs. Um, but the other one that's like really big right now, obviously, is social networks. So just trying to advertise on Twitter, Reddit, and Facebook. Reddit is actually pretty hard to get into just because like it's a really tight community and you need to be part of it before you actually start self-promoting yourself. So try to be active from the start just so that they know who you are and then when you actually want to promote your game, You won't be an outsider anymore. Another big weight that's going on right now is just for players to advertise games. So there's a bunch of like, YouTube channels that do Let's Plays or Let's Look Ats, and then a bunch of Twitch streamers that play games. So those are very big right now. Then I call this industry. So basically, IndieDB and TechSource are two websites that are for developers, and you actually get pretty good press from it, sorta. Just because it's a community of developers, you also get a bunch of like scouts or like publishers that are looking at it, and then like even the press sometimes go to those sites just to like see new projects that are upcoming. And then just going to conferences, PAX, which is the Penny Arcade Expo, is pretty good because it's basically an exposition for gamers. That one's actually the best to get like gamers and press excited. Um, E3 is mostly for press and industry people, but yeah, again, if you contact the press beforehand, you probably get really good coverage. And then lastly, there's GDC, which is the Game Developers Conference. In that one, it's mostly your peers, but there's also like few press going around, so they're all pretty good avenues to advertise your game. And then others are like Kickstarter and Greenlight are pretty good like places to advertise your game indirectly, just because you get so much traffic from those websites alone that your game will get noticed. So first thing that you need to know is that you need to build a community. So obviously your fans are your best allies. They're the ones that are gonna like advocate for you, and then the ones that are going to just go for you, vote for you on Kickstarter, on Greenlight, or pledge first on Kickstarter or something like that. They're also the ones that like retweet your tweets or share your stories on Facebook, stuff like that. So try to build a community. Um, you should answer every comment or mention, I'm sorry. Um, I know this might sound hard, but try doing it from the very beginning. Like every time you see a comment on a post or sometimes on the comment section in an article from your game, try to answer questions from the fans. Um, it'll make them feel involved, and that'll like transform them from being just like someone that's curious about your game to being a fan of you. Um, a really good way of like getting interaction from your community is to ask questions on your social networks. So instead of just like sharing photos or screenshots or whatever, you should try to ask questions like, hey, which one do you like better, like this one or this one over here? Just because it'll get the community talking, and then it's like a way of like pushing them to like it's like an icebreaker basically. It's a way to push them to talk to you, and then you can just reply to them. For Twitter specifically, remember that you're supposed to use hashtags. So Game Dev, Indie Dev, and Screenshot Saturday are like three of the most common ones, but there's a lot of them that you should like look into, and yeah, just use them consistently because there's a bunch of bots that will retweet all your stuff, and that'll get around. Start early. This is like the biggest one. So building a community takes a long time, and you don't want to start when your game is about to ship. Um, Ideally, you want to start as early as possible, and it doesn't matter if your game's not finished or if it's just like a prototype. Actually, people like seeing how a game develops, and they feel way more involved if they get to have a say in the matter when you're building the game. So just keep doing that. Um, be consistent means that you can't just like expect to tweet once or twice a week and get a community going. Um, at least try to tweet every day, hopefully multiple times a day without spamming. Just because like again, people have like huge Twitter feeds and they're following like thousands of people, and then your tweet might just get lost between the crowd. So try to like tweet at different times. Try to like just be consistent. Keep saying stuff about your game. And then good websites to build your community are so TikTok's devlogs. That's actually where we started with Frogs Run Super 3, and we got a huge response from it. Like we actually met a bunch of people that were developers, and we got a pretty good feedback from it. So I definitely recommend it. Then again, obviously Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit are really good places to build communities. Um, IndieDB is weird. Um, if you're at the top and you're really like committed to it, then you definitely do well. The good thing about IndieDB is that whenever you make like a news post or an announcement, you'll automatically bump to the top page, and that is actually really helpful because like you get a lot of attention from the website. And then lastly, just if you can, try to make a personal or a company website where you can just put stuff about your game, make blog posts about the progress of the game and all that stuff. And it's also a really good place to put your press kit, which I'm going to talk about later. So let's first understand the press. So they're pretty busy. They have a lot of games to cover, probably like a bunch of AAA games. Um, and their inbox is filled with requests to cover games. Um, they, I've heard of a bunch of them that actually block words like Kickstarter and Greenlight on their, um, that they just filter them out because they get so much emails from people that want them to cover the game just so they can get a Kickstarter campaign going or the Greenlight. So I would avoid those at least on the title, on the subject line. Um, Also, one big thing they need to understand about editors is that they don't do it as a favor. Like, they're not making you a favor by writing about your game. They're doing it to get hits on their website. So they will do it if they think your game is good, if your story is actually appealing. So, like, just keep that in mind and don't say something on your email like, hey, can you please cover my game? It would be really big for me. Like no, just give them the story and then they'll decide if they want to cover the game or not. So how long do you have? Like how much time are they going to pay attention to your email or your stuff? So according to a few studies, you have 20 seconds. That's not very many seconds. So make sure that your email is like on point, it's really accurate, and then you can just grab their attention in the first first 20 seconds basically. So I'm gonna give you some tips to increase your chances. The first one is to research the editor before contacting him or her. So just look at other articles that they've written and see if they cover games similar to yours. That'll just make it a lot easier for them to cover your game if they've done similar ones before. Come up with a good subject line for your email. I might talk about this a little bit later, but it's basically like, don't say like, hey, I just released my new game, you should check it out. It's like, no, put your game name first, and then just give like a high concept of your game. Like, it's a 2D platformer that allows you to, I don't know, that has a bunch of, so you have to traverse with ropes. Something that's catchy, something that will like seem interesting to them to see. Um, you should write like it doesn't have to be necessarily short, but it has to be concise. So all the information has to be encapsulated well enough for them to be able to scan it and know what's going on. Um, a lot of press people, a lot of editors just love press kits. So basically, you want to provide them with the whole story and really good sound bites so that they can make the story really fast. If they had to spend like 20 to 30 minutes just writing your article, they might not do it. But if you give them all the information so that it makes it easy for them, like if they can just write your article in 5 minutes, that's a lot better, and they will like more likely actually take the time to do it. Um, a really good uh, resource for this is PRESSKIT, which is pronounced. A really good website to make press kits is Do PRESSKIT, made by Vlambeer. I actually don't use it because I'm using WordPress, and integrating their XML code is actually kind of hard. So what I did is just like I made a similar version of it in my website, but I basically just used their outline and made my own press kit type. Um, Also, whenever you send emails, try to personalize the email, especially for the bigger outlets. They don't want to feel like they're part of like this huge list that you're sending to, even if it's true. Like they probably know you're sending it to multiple people, but if it makes them feel more personal, um, it just increases your chances. Like just at least put like hello your name, and then that'll make it feel like hey, it's not just like a spam email. They actually took the time to put my name on it, so they're addressing it to me at least. Um, if you have a demo for your game or like a code, don't ask if they want it, just send it. Like you're supposed to decrease the number of levels and emails that you're gonna send back and forth. So just why make it harder for them to get a demo for a game? Like it's a lot easier if they download the demo from the first email and then they have it on their desktop and maybe they play it. Um, a demo is obviously a demo or a prototype or like the actual full game is essential for streamers and YouTubers just because like they can't cover a game based on words. Um, so yeah, don't contact a YouTuber or a streamer if you don't have a demo or something playable for them to show. One thing that I actually think, like we started on this trend when we started with Frogstart. of never posting any screenshots. Every time we wanted to post something, it would be GIFs, and it caught on really fast. Like everyone at TikTok just started doing it after we started doing it, and then like now that Twitter supports adding GIFs, it's a big thing. So whenever possible, just make GIFs. Like yeah, just post GIFs instead of screenshots because it's a lot easier to understand what's going on in a game when it's moving rather than when it's static. Um, two really good programs to do this are LiceCap and there's also GIFCam. Just Google both of those and that'll probably be awesome. The trailer is one of your most important assets to grab their attention, just because that's the one that's going to give them the most information. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about that later in the talk. And also try to build a connection with the editor. If they actually cover your game, follow up with them, be like, hey, thank you for covering my game. It was really, like, I really enjoyed it. Because you don't want the relationship between you and the editor to be a one article thing. You want to make it something lasting. So whenever you have another project or just another like press release, you want them to keep covering your game because like you know each other a little bit more. So now I'm going to talk about the elevator pitch. Basically, the idea of an elevator pitch is if you found someone on an elevator, could you explain the game before someone has to get down? So it's a really fast way of like just explaining how your game works, what your game is, and then they'll get it or they won't. So basically, it's a 1 to 3 line synopsis of that explains the core of your game. Um, it should definitely include your game's genre, if it's platformer, first, third person, 2D, 3D, just to give them like a general idea of what the like game looks like. You're supposed to mention your most relevant or innovative mechanic. Every game has to have like a core mechanic in it, so try to like sleep that into your synopsis. And you will notice that as you tell your pitch over and over again, you'll start changing it because like sometimes when you say a word or like you change something a little bit, you see a different reaction from people. So just look for those like cues in people's faces when you're giving your pitch, and then try to like adjust your pitch according to that, so that it just gets better and better every time. So I'm just gonna show two of our elevator pitches. Super 3 is a fast-paced adventure game that combines action platformer and puzzle platformer mechanics. Utilize 3's teleportation ability and screen grab to smash baddies and solve puzzles. So basically, really fast here, you can see that Super 3 is a platformer. It has a sort of teleportation mechanic and you can screen grab. So basically, that's our core mechanic. We have a player that can screen grab and then he can just teleport to the side of the screen. Now for my current project, Ink is a fast-paced platformer about using paint to uncover your surroundings. So again, I start by saying that it's a platformer, and yeah, like it's a game where you're supposed to use paint to see where you're going. Like it's a very broad idea, but it gets the point across, and people actually get it from the first time. So let's talk a little bit more about the press kit now. So press kit, open parens, close parens, actually pronounced do PRESSKIT. This is the one that I was telling you about Blambeer making. So there's multiple parts to a PRESSKIT. The fact sheet is a place where you just put like quick things that the editor might want to know about your game. So like release date, platforms, price, distribution. All those things are like really important. Then the description. What I like putting here is my elevator pitch, and then I add like an extra paragraph to like go into more detail about the game just to give them more. Then history, it's just like just talk a little bit about how the game formed and then how the team got together to make this idea. Just a small a timeline of how the game progressed since you guys started developing it. In the features, it's like a bullet point list of like your main features. Think about this one as remember like those when you have like a game on a box. So those like things that were on the back of the box. Just think of it like that. Like, hey, it has 50 levels, and we have this thing over here, and then we have this many bosses. So just like a list of like big features. Videos. Very important. So like just put your trailer videos. If you have like development videos or something like that, just put those too as well. But try to keep it to like two or three, and then maybe provide links to the others. Remember, they don't have much time, so just put out your best out there, and then that'll be your best shot. Um, so Do PRESSKIT has a place to put screenshots. Actually, I added another section on mine to put GIFs. Again, I love GIFs, and I believe that they have a bigger impact. So just put like 6 to 12 screenshots or GIFs. Try to use really high resolution ones because you don't know how big they're gonna stretch them. And also, to make their life easier, include like a downloadable zip that has like all the screenshots and all the GIFs together, just so that they can like easily download all of them in high resolution and then just put it on their website. Logo and icon, just provide your game's logo and then maybe your company's logo if you have like a company press kit. I like providing animated versions of it if I have them, and also ones that have like a transparent background. Again, you don't know where they're gonna use it or not, like if they need a transparent background one, so just make their life easy. Selected articles just a list of like other outlets that have already covered your game. So put like a quote that you like from the article and then say who wrote it and then the outlet that wrote it. This is just like if sometimes they like to reference other articles first to see what people are talking it like saying about the game and then make something different or something similar to what they said. Awards and recognition, just like a place to put if you've earned any prizes or if you go to any conferences and then yeah, just got like an award or a recognition for it. Credits, just name everyone in your team, what their role is, and yeah, basically what they do in the game. Um, I like including a download link to a demo or a press kit or a prototype version. Um, if the prototype that you have or the demo is like maybe the full game that you want to provide, I would say just give them an email or like a contact form and then say like, hey, just put your hit name here, who you are, and then we'll send you the actual game or the code. And lastly, just contact information, email, Twitter, website, DEVLOG, like, yeah, just everything that you want for them to contact you in there. Trailers. So I was actually going to talk a lot about trailers, but then this guy has like a huge video. It's a 3-hour video, and he talks about marketing and a bunch of stuff. But his section on trailers is actually pretty good, and I enjoyed it a lot. So there's really no point in me going over it when he went into it with so much detail. There's a link to the YouTube. But basically the key points from his talk were that the trailer should follow like a 3-act structure. So just that whole there's a beginning where you introduce all your characters, then there's the middle where there's a conflict, like the character just keeps racing through the story, and then there's a conflict, right? And then at the very end, you resolve the conflict, you get to the climax, and then it's over. So just following that 3-act structure will make your trailer a lot better. One thing that I actually thought it was really like a really good advice that he gave is that if you like a trailer, you can actually start by making your own trailer by putting that trailer on top and then just trying to make cuts at the exact same times that they do. And at the end, like almost by magic, you will have a trailer that looks really cool. Um, so when you're recording footage for your gameplay, try to get good footage. So no bugs, no glitches, no like models clipping through walls, or maybe like if you're recording a multiplayer game, try not to have someone that's like constantly jumping around because it's distracting, or like moving the camera really fast because again, it's a trailer. Like we know that when we play the game, we move the camera really fast, but try to make it smooth so that people don't feel overwhelmed by the video. Um, Again, the research similar trailers is basically what I was just saying. Like see trailers that you like, maybe use them as a reference. Um, then music. Music's actually really important for trailers. Um, Most of the emotion from your game and the trailer is gonna come from the music, so try to nail that down really well. Try to find like some song that actually represents your game, and then if you can, try to score your video. So either get all the footage and then put it in pieces, and then get someone to put music on top of that so that it matches really well, or get the song and then try to make all the cuts and transitions like match the tempo of the music. Um, so for video length, for a trailer, it should be between 90 seconds and 150 seconds. But I've gone as like short as 60 seconds for some trailers, just because attention span is really low in people, and just having like a really small video helps sometimes. Um, yeah, just record your videos in 30 FPS, 1920 by 1080 resolution, and then record it with the music off, but with the sound effects on. This is because you want to put a track on top of your whole trailer, but scoring sound effects is a pain in the ass sometimes, so try to just not, yeah, just record the sound effects, and then you can even like mute them if you don't want them at some points. Um, and this last one happened to me like a while when I was making the Ink trailer, which is when you're recording, check the very first clip to make sure that everything is working. What happened to me is that I spent like 2 hours getting footage from the game, and I got like 50 clips or something. And after I got all the 50 clips, I realized that I had like Katy Perry just blasting in the background, and it was getting recorded into my video. So I actually had to go back and like redo all that footage. So don't let that happen to you. Um, and one last thing is I've seen so many trailers on Greenlight where they show like the story, or they show like an animation that they have, like a intro cinematic, and they don't show at all like any gameplay at all. So whenever you make a trailer, show it to people and ask them if they understand what the game is about. Because most of the time when like I see a video on Greenlight, I'm like, okay, so that was pretty cool, but I don't even know what the game looks like. So try to keep that in mind. Also, there's like a link at the bottom, just so that you can see like the whole talk that Jack gave. Now I'm going to show some footage of one of the trailers that I worked on. This is the one for Super 3, and we're just going to play it. Um, so this is actually a good example of a trailer that we actually got the footage, and then we edited the video together, and then we got our sound designer to put like just score on top of it, and it turned out really well. One last thing that I forgot to mention before is at the very end of your videos, you're supposed to put a call to action. So just put something that'll let your audience, like, let them have a mission at the end. So like, support us on Kickstarter, or vote for us on Greenlight, or go buy the game here. So just something like that. My next video is the one for Ink. This video actually had the track, and I put the video to match the track, so I just did it differently this time. Again, very last thing in your video, just have a call to action. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the press list now. So, as I said, try to find editors that have covered games similar to yours. Just go through a website and browse through articles of games that are your platform, or games that you believe are similar to your own, and just take note of the name of those editors and try to contact them specifically. Make sure that the editor writes about the games on your platform. So I've heard a lot of like editors complaining that people send them like a PC game and they only cover mobile games, or they're like a Mac website and then someone sends them a game that's only going to come out on PC or Xbox. So try to be mindful of that, because they get mad, and with good reason, just because like you're supposed to do a little bit of research just beforehand. In order to make your press list, there are multiple ways of doing it. You can just start from a spreadsheet. One way that I did it one time was by making a Google form that had a bunch of information. So like first and last name, email, Twitter, phone, job title, outlet, what platforms it covers, what language is it on. And then one thing that I did this time around, but I changed, was I had number of visitors per day, or number of subscribers for like YouTubers. And in order to like figure that out, there's a website called like Worth of Web, where you can see how many like people go to the website every day. I changed it from number of visitors, like specifically, because I had to go and copy paste every number, and it was like really annoying. I made my own system of like tiny, small, medium, big, and huge outlets. So tiny would be any outlet that gets less than 1,000 views a day. Small would be between 1,000 and 10,000. Then between 10,000 and 100,000 would be medium. Between 100,000 and a million would be big. And then over a million would be huge. Just a way for me to organize my spreadsheet, and then maybe like send emails only to like tiny sites, or only to big sites, or just a way to organize my spreadsheet. And then preparation. So before you send out like a press release, you need to have your press list ready and filled with contacts. You're supposed to send all the emails on the same day, just because like it wouldn't be news if you get the press release the day after everyone posted about it. Um, and one thing they have to notice is that email services such as Gmail, they have a 500 email cap per day. So be mindful of that. You don't want to get banned. And a way to get around this is just to have multiple email accounts. So like a company email account, then your personal account, and then your partner's account, and then send emails from all of those. check your spelling. Please, please, please do this. Send the email to yourself, read it over again, check your spelling. It's really annoying when you get an email that's like a professional email and then it has just spelling mistakes. Again, yeah, send the email first to your friends. You want to see how it looks like when someone receives it. And then provide them with links to your media. So screenshots, videos, demo, GIFs, all your contact information. Um, Also on this slide, there's a bunch of lists that have all the YouTubers, streamers, and press that you can think of. Like, they're actually pretty comprehensive lists, and I would definitely recommend just going through all of them and finding all the press people that you want to fill in your press list. I know I did. So I know that I went to about 250 websites and just to get my contacts. So let's talk about the email format. As we talked about before, you need to have a subject line that grabs their attention. They get like tens or hundreds of emails every day, so yours has to stand out somehow. Personalize the email. I like starting with like hello and then the name of the person, just because it makes it feel a little bit more personal. Um, Another optional thing is to write like a couple personalized sentences. I do this for big outlets. Say something like, hey, I saw your article on this game and then your article on this other game. I believe this game probably like it because it's similar to those two. Or what you can do as well is if they've covered your game before or any other game, say like, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but you covered this game and this game. So just like have two personalized sentences so that they know your person and it's not like a mass email. Then the rest can be copy paste. It's fine. Like it's your information from your game. So just put your high concept or elevator pitch of the game. Maybe some more information, just like your description from the press kit. And then basically your fact sheet goes in next. I'm sorry, you can put your features as well, like you see on this email here. And then just release date, price, platform, distribution method, all that like important information that they need. And then this is where you're gonna start putting your link to your assets. So just like provide them with easy links to your demo, to past games you've worked on, screenshots, anything. And at the very end, when you're gonna like say goodbye, show that you're available to answer questions or take an interview. Um, it's just always nice, and making like just doing interviews is always fun. And then end with your valediction and your contact information. I'm gonna show another example that I have. So now I actually like putting GIFs on the email itself, just because again, when they open the email, there's gonna be like a moving thing on them, so that's gonna grab their attention really fast. On this one, I actually like removed the name of the person in the email, but I put like hey and then the name of the person. And then one other thing they need to remember is that sometimes you have to be bold and it works. So I know that my article for Destructured, I believe, I sent it to someone, and when I read their description, it said something along the lines of, I enjoy pictures of cute animals. So I decided to just go with something bold, and I sent them this email. Um, and it worked. Like, just try to have fun with it. Try to show that you did your research and that you know who they are, and you put a little bit of time into like investigating them. So, who should you contact? Everyone. Like, literally everyone. Also, don't limit yourself to like a country or a region. So try to reach out to any country. And there's a bunch of websites from like Italy and Germany. So just send it to those. Like, even if it's in English, there's bound to be someone there that speaks English, so that's fine. Um, Contact big and small websites, even bloggers, YouTubers. So again, some websites only get like 300 views a day. It doesn't matter. Contact them. They actually write the most interesting articles because they actually care about your game. The bigger sites usually just copy paste your email, they change a few lines and then they just post it. But that's fine. Like if they do that, it means that you did your job correctly. Like you gave them a story that they could just put together in 5 minutes and then post it. So that's really good. Um, by the end of your like, whenever you go into your websites and you try to find contacts, at the end your contact list should have between 300 and 600 contracts in it. Again, I just did it again, and I ended up with like 550 personal contacts and 130 like website contacts, like the info at website.com or press at website.com, which are the ones that just like get to everyone. So again, that's the thing. Um, this pyramid right here just shows how like getting your press works. Again, getting press in like the smaller sites is actually a lot easier, but you need to build this base. So like you need to get a bunch of articles from these websites so that the next tier of websites just like goes in and tries to make articles about it. And then once those make articles, then the big guys come along and then they write articles for your game, and that's when you like just hit it hard. But you need to have a really solid base in order to get the big ones to cover you. So again, just contact everyone. Don't discriminate like an outlet just because it's smaller than the one you want coverage from. Okay, so the next steps. After you send the email, that's not where it ends. You're supposed to keep informed. Good ways of doing this is using Google Alerts. Just put mentions in your name and your game. And also you can use something called Promoter app, which was made by the same guys like the Beer people. Um, it's a really good website where you can just put like keywords and then they will notify you anytime that someone mentions your game or like writes an article. And again, I've found articles on that website that I didn't even know that wrote it, because sometimes like when you Google your game name, it doesn't show up. So it's a pretty good way of like just seeing. And every time you see an article, try to thank the editor or the streamer for the article. Just send them a big email and be like, hey, I saw your article, thank you very much. Um, I'll keep like sending you like email. Sorry, I keep sending like press releases your way in the future whenever I have them. Just again, it's a whole make a connection with the editor so that they want to keep covering your game in the future. If there's people commenting in their article sections or the videos, try to answer. Again, people like when the developers show up and they just become part of the conversation. And update your contacts list. So just write like a little notes section on your spreadsheet. Be like, hey, this person wrote an article, or this person told me to follow up, or this person told me to whatever. So just have like a little note like, hey, where am I with this person right now? Okay. Um, Other things that I want to talk about really quick are, so your website. This is where you're supposed to post announcements, contact information. Your press kit probably is going to go here, so the link that you're going to send out. And the two websites that I've found, and there's some like many websites that you can like just that are pretty easy to build a website from. The two that I use the most are WordPress.com, not .org, and Weebly. They're just pretty like easy to use, fully featured websites that you can just get up and running in like an hour or so. So as I said before, for Frogster and Super 3, devlogs were a big thing. So you just go to TikSource forums in the devlog section and post your game. And keep updating it like, hey, we just added new enemies, we did this, we did that. Try to make like significant updates every time, and just talk to people, and you will get like really good feedback from other developers. Um, and at the end of your process, like your fans can just go back and see how like you made the big decisions of your game, like they just see the whole process of the game. Um, Investors and press people sometimes go to those websites to find games to fund. So it's actually a really good way of like just making good connections. And you'll get industry contacts. Like I met so many people through TechSource and Twitter that when I went to GDC this year, I got invited to the Humble Bundle party where they had like the second annual Towerfall tournament, and it got streamed on Twitch, and it was just like really good fun, free pizza. So again, try to make friends in the industry. It'll be worth it in the long term. And last time, INDIEDB, yeah, it's a good way of getting views on your game, just because whenever you make an announcement on your news post, it'll show up at the top of the page, and it's a really like high traffic website, so you just get it. And it has a ranking system to determine popularity. So if you're into that, it might actually be kind of cool to like just see your game like get into like the top 50 or something. One thing that's like not as, I mean, it's still related, it's distribution methods, and you're supposed to think about it. So obviously Steam is the most common and profitable one, and that's the one everyone's aiming for. But don't think that that's the only way to actually um, get your game distributed. There's other avenues like itch.io that just lets you put your game for like a price, or you can even have like a pay what you want model. Hum Bundle is also looking for indie games all the time. And then there's Bundle Stars, which is the same thing. Just one of those websites that bundles games together, but they also have a store. So any kind of exposure is good, and you can just get your game distributed there while you get greenlit or something. Lastly, this is a huge list of like resources that I've used to learn all this stuff. Um, there's probably more, but these are the ones that I've like found to be the most important at the moment. Again, just go through them, check them out, read them, and you'll get a lot of like useful information from them. Um, this is all my contact information. If you have any questions or anything you want to talk about, I'm always open and I will answer any of your questions. Um, and that was the talk. I really hope that you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions or something, just leave it in the comments, or again, just contact me and I will get to you back ASAP. Um, I will make another post on my website very soon about just go more in detail on how I went about to making that press list, and just a bunch of like other interesting posts about production and your indie game. So again, go to my website, check it out, and thank you very much for listening.